Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about 7 psychological signs that successful people have. This means that you can look into yourself to see if you have these qualities, and predict, to an extent, if you may be like them, or to look to your friends to see if they might be successful. All of these are going to be in your control, at least to some form, which means you can also take these traits and grow them, constantly work on them to increase your comparative advantage to be more successful. Number 1, competitive. Successful people are usually highly competitive. And in many ways, too. They are competitive when selling a product, when advertising, when offering the cheapest price, when reaching goals, but it all comes down to competitively offering the most value. Take a look at some of the largest brands out there. They all have competition. And without their CEOs being super competitive, they would not have succeeded. Now, it is important to be competitive in 2 areas. The first, obviously, is with other brands, businesses, and people in your market that are trying to steal your customers. This happens all the time, but what distinguishes massively successful people from the rest is the fact that they are competitive against previous versions of themselves. They are always bettering themselves in many ways, and we will talk about that in a future step. So, having a competitive nature is a great trait of someone successful. Number 2 is obsessive. So when most people think of obsessive behavior, a negative connotation is correlated with it. I actually made a whole video on that. But think more like very focused, driven, dedicated. You can't have a multi-million-dollar business without being obsessed about the product, your employees, your customers, and most importantly, your vision. This trait ties in with the first one, to be competitive, always tracking your competition, being obsessively tracking your own growth, and always knowing where you are. Psychologically, being obsessive means that you are always thinking about it, adapting it, changing it to be better. Number 3 is always learning. Now there are many ways to learn, but most successful people never stop learning. When they stop learning, they stop being successful. You just have to stay ahead of the curve. Reading new books, going to seminars and conferences if that's your thing, talking to the most successful people in your industry, testing, learning, experimenting. Warren Buffett, whose net worth is over $60 billion, reads at least 5 hours a day, every day. Most people don't even pick up a book after graduating and getting a 9-to-5 job. Remember, the more you learn, the more you will earn. Number 4, always thinking. Just like obsessive behavior is tied in with competitiveness, thinking ties in with learning. Successful people, especially entrepreneurs, are always thinking. Thinking, how can I do this better? How can I reduce the cost of this? Has something like this ever been done before? The cool thing about it is, the more you learn, the more you can think about, the more you can experiment, the more you can increase your chances, now combined with hard work, to become even more successful. Napoleon Hill stated this in his Think and Grow Rich book. Having more ideas and learning more will, in effect, produce more and more ideas. Like, imagine ideas in your head as people. If you have 2 people in a community, you don't necessarily want their children having children with each other. Introduce them to more ideas, so that they can have healthier and even more children. Now that was a weird analogy, but if you're in a rut, start doing something to learn more, so that you can think more, so that your brain will grow new ideas and start solving problems all by itself. The next one is to end things. A psychological sign of highly successful people is that they end things, or in other words, they are persistent. Now I know a lot of people struggle with this one, but ending things is a great predictor of who is going to be successful later in life. If you've ever started a puzzle but never finished it, it's like starting a business and not continuing to grow it. There are many people who like this, and actually we need people like this, but there will always be someone more successful than them. We need starters, people who have ideas, people who plant seeds, people who invent, people who create things and fail. But those who stick with it, those who continue to grind when things get hard, those are the ones who are going to make it big, be remembered, and stay in history forever. For example, no joke, I counted and I created 98 videos before one big video on my channel took off in the recommended algorithm. That's why being passionate about something on YouTube is insanely important to your paycheck. How many channels are people going to start and quit after 20 videos, after 50 videos? The same idea with other markets. Are you selling clothes? Are you selling electronics? Are you starting a retail business? Someone is going to stick with it longer, learn more, think more, be more competitive, and squish their competition, who didn't do all those things. So, this tip could be summarized into staying persistent. Tip number 6 is that 1/3 of the people around them are smarter, earn more, or more successful. Now, I really like this tip, but I know a lot of people struggle with it, specifically because it involves meeting new people and maintaining a relationship. It also involves cutting out toxic people in your life, and most of the time, the most toxic people in your life are the ones that you're closest to. But if you're not spending at least a third of your time around people who are doing better than you are draining yourself and you're throwing a lot of growth and potential success away. A lot of motivation, inspiration, and work ethic problems could really be solved just by changing the people that you spend most of your time around. Think about that. Now this is super important, and I'm actually going to make another video on the psychological aspect and benefits of spending time around people who are better than you. So hit that bell next to the subscribe button to be prepared. Spending time around these people will also help you with learning more and thinking more too. Increase the quality of the people in your circle to increase your chances for success. Now, most people like to surround themselves with people in a way that they will always feel most successful. But by surrounding yourself with unsuccessful people compared to yourself, you'll stand out and feel bigger, but you will not continue to grow. So getting rid of your ego and spending time around people who make you feel like you are less than them, not in a negative way, but in a way that you could jump up to be with them, will make you better, if you implement it correctly. The last psychological tip of a successful person is that they are realistically optimistic. Now that's kind of like a tongue twister, but this tip comes into play not only in business, but in life in general. You will be happier, have more energy, and even make better decisions. Now everyone knows what optimism is, so I'm not really going to talk about that, but let's discuss realistic optimism. You're not going to be happy or a millionaire if you're complaining about how the stocks are super low, how nobody will buy your product, how your competition will always be better than you. So you have to have some form of optimism. However, you can't go too far the other way either. Don't pay $50,000 for a product that you have not tested. You have to be realistic about it too. Just because you have an awesome idea that came from your heart and your mom supports you 110% doesn't mean people are going to buy your solar-powered eco-friendly toothbrush, Rick. Optimism does great things for your mental health, and actually for your physical health also. A study that I read in Learned Optimism, written by Martin Seligman, showed that optimism could actually reduce your chances of cancer. But the same book also said most optimistic people had a diluted perception of the world, which is why you have to balance it out and be realistically optimistic. So, these are 7 things. Be on the lookout for these qualities in yourself, in your friends, and work every day at developing these traits if you can, because I believe, and psychology proves, you can improve some of these. You can become more optimistic. You can spend more time around higher quality friends. You can pick up a book for 30 minutes a day and learn something new. And these traits are what will set you apart from the crowd, from those who will continually complain about how unsuccessful they are, and those who will sit in a chair 70 years from now wishing they had another chance. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below about what you liked about this video, maybe even what you didn't like. Thanks so much for watching, and subscribe for more content like this.